Welcome to News Laundry Chota Hafta. For the full episode, subscribe because it is behind the paywall and only subscribers get access to uncut, complete content. News Laundry Hafta is our weekly wrap of all that made the news, all that didn't, and all that should have and all that shouldn't have. We agree, we disagree, we critique, and occasionally we beat each other up. But it's all good fun. Subscribe.
This is a News Laundry podcast and you're listening to NL Hafta.
अंग्रेज अपना लगान और न्यूज़ लॉन्ड्री अपना हफ्ता कभी नहीं छोड़ते. We are back in the studio with Raman sir and Manisha.
Hi.
And it is the 10th of June. It's Thursday. It's 1 o'clock in the afternoon when we record this hafta in a partially opened Delhi. And I guess other parts of the country are also partially opening up. So today we have about 12, 15 people in office after a long time. It's nice to see faces. Joining us on the phone line are our wonderful Anand Vardhan from Bihar. Hi, Anand.
Hello.
Jayashree joins us from Chennai.
Hi.
And joining us this hafta is Bhavna Das. Hi, Bhavna.
Hello.
I will just give our listeners a little introduction of Bhavna. She is a Delhi-based lawyer and she has over 10 years of experience as an advocate on record in the Supreme Court of India. She has assisted Justice A.K. Patnaik, who was a retired judge of the Supreme Court, in revising and updating the latest editions of the commentaries of G.P. Singh's Principles of Statutory Interpretation and D.D. Basu's Shorter Constitution of India, 15th edition. So very accomplished, Bhavna. Very impressed. So now we will be hanging on to every word of yours. So be responsible, please.
That's a boon and a bane.
So, before we get into the headlines, you also write often, but you only write on matters of law, or do you write on other matters as well?
So I do write on other. I've actually started out as a child writing a lot of poetry, but that's not something I've published much.
I see. And what is the representation of women judges in the Supreme Court right now?
Very low. There is currently one woman judge in the Supreme Court. The others have retired. Justice Indhu Malhotra just retired. There are a lot of vacancies, so the field is wide open. But I think the government and the courts need to agree on names first. So
right.
What is the strength of the Supreme Court? It's some 30 or something, right?
It was enhanced to 34, if I remember correctly, by Justice Gogoi.
Right.
So before we get into the discussions on Hafta this week, let's have the headlines, which our wonderful Jayashree shall give us. Jayashree, all yours.
Yeah, so here's the top headlines for the week. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has reversed his government's COVID vaccination policy, saying the centre will now take over vaccine procurement. The new policy will come into effect in 2 weeks. His announcement also came a week after the Supreme Court had pulled up the centre's vaccination policy. Following a recent direction by the Patna High Court, the Bihar government has recounted its COVID toll, which has now jumped by a whopping 72.8%. Bharat Biotech has said that the Covaxin trial data will finally be released in July.
Yay.
This is soon after a study came out which said that Covaxin produces significantly fewer antibodies than Covishield. So we desperately need to see this data. The administration of Agra and Uttar Pradesh have sealed a hospital after its owner was allegedly caught on video saying the facility cut off oxygen supply for its patients in a mock drill in April.
This is a bizarre story.
Very, very strange story, yeah. According to the Indian Express, 9 corporate hospital groups in big metropolitan cities have bought 50% of the total vaccine stock in May. According to a World Bank report, India's growth forecast has been slashed for the financial year of 21-22 to 8.3%. In April, the growth had been estimated at 10%. Twitter has told the government it is making every effort to comply with the new IT rules. So I think this will go on for a while.
Yep.
The Indian government has also moved legally to take action against the Twitter account of cartoonist Manjul.
But now apparently no further action has been taken. He got an email saying that his account may be
just a warning.
A warning, right? But he doubled down with another cartoon on that, so
yes.
nothing has happened yet.
The National Commission for the Protection of Child Rights has alerted the Supreme Court about illegal adoption of children who lost their parents to COVID. I think so far there's an estimated 30,000 children either orphaned or who have lost one parent or abandoned due to the COVID crisis. In some really good news, the Madras High Court issued guidelines in an effort to mainstream the LGBTIQA plus fraternity.
Right.
This is on corporate and individual donations received by political parties. The BJP got 750 crores in 1920, which is over 5 times what the Congress received. I think the Congress got 139 crores. The Gujarat police has arrested 11 Adivasis for staging a protest against a land survey for a parking lot that is supposed to come up near the Statue of Unity.
Right.
On Wednesday, the CBI filed an FIR against Avanta Realty Limited, its promoter, and others for allegedly cheating Yes Bank to the tune of over 466 crores. This happened between 2017 and 2019. In news from the farmers, Union Agriculture Minister Narendra Singh Tomar said the centre is ready to talk to the protesting farmers, but not about the farm laws.
So then I'm wondering what the chat will be about. Maybe if GD Baksh is a part of the chat, it can be about why there are no chamgadars in the Wuhan. In a panel this week, he went a bit loco saying that there are no bats in the wet markets of Wuhan, like he went shopping there.
Oh God.
Hmm.
So to be specific, Tomar said if farm organizations are ready to discuss options other than the agriculture bills, then the government is ready to talk to them.
Right.
Former IAS officer Anup Chandra Pandey has now been appointed an election commissioner. He was earlier the chief secretary of Uttar Pradesh under Yogi Adityanath.
And not just that, he had Yogi Adityanath's picture in his, not the display
Twitter,
picture.
yeah.
On
Minutes, I think minutes before the announcement as election commissioner, he changed his Twitter head photo, which used to be a picture of him and Yogi.
Correct.
So,
yes.
What timing? The National General Secretary of the BJP, BL Santosh, has held back-to-back meetings with ministers and party leaders in Lucknow to gather feedback on the Yogi government.
This has led to some flutters of gossip about discordant notes between Yogi and Modi, but yeah, we can discuss that in a little more detail.
Right. Then the last headline of the week is that cricketers in the UK are being pulled up for offensive and racist comments that they made in the past on Twitter. Those pulled up include Ollie Robinson, James Anderson, Ewan Morgan, and Joss Butler.
And in fact, Robinson has been dropped from the team because of this, and he was defended by the Prime Minister, Boris Johnson. And that has actually led to a lot of criticism that Boris Johnson should just shut up and he doesn't have to weigh in on this. But we can discuss it in some detail. But first, a couple of announcements. Fantastic recess lineup for the next few weeks. In case you're wondering what recess is, those of you who are subscribers already know. It is where we have Zoom interviews and interactions with prominent people. In the past, we've had Gulzar, Konkona Sen Sharma, Ram Guha. So imagine these are opportunities where you can get to interact with them on Zoom. It is for subscribers only. And over the next few weeks, we'll be getting Varun Grover. You know, he's a lyricist, he's a script writer. He's also one third of Aisi Taisi Democracy. We get Akash Banerjee. We'll have the Highway on My Plate team with Rocky, Mayur, yours truly, and Prashant. We'll have Ghazala Wahab. We'll also have Kabir Bedi on his new book. So you can check out the show notes under this Hafta page on the website, on our website, newsland.com, or you can check out our Discord server to see how you can attend. A link will be sent. I repeat, this is for subscribers only. So if you want to enjoy this NL Recess and be part of this, subscribe to newslaundry.com, go to newslaundry.com and click on the subscribe button, and you will also be sent links to this. Another announcement, the RBI guidelines have changed on recurring payments. You have to have that two-step authentication. So the new RBI guidelines will impact our subscription flow. Some of you who've been subscribers with us for a long time have your payments linked via our payment gateway on Razorpay. Your subscriptions may be failing for the last couple of weeks. So you can sign up for a new subscription using a credit card if you have one. We've changed our payment flow, so the new recurring subscription will work fine, but we have changed it recently. So if you're having a problem and you're getting failures, just do so again through the new subscription flow we have. If you don't have a credit card, you can just get a longer subscription for 1 year or 6 months. So instead of having to renew it every 1 month, and in a year or by 6 months, we'll have many more options for recurring payments and not just credit cards. So till then, if you could just buy a one-time subscription. And if you're based overseas, the best way to pay is via PayPal in US dollars as a payment method. It saves the bank's currency conversion charges. So yeah, that would be fantastic. If you are overseas and you want to pay, do so via PayPal.
First, to talk about character, and this is something that actually we have come a long way off. We started from a position initially where in rape prosecutions, it was absolutely permissible for the accused to lead evidence to show that the prosecutrix is immoral of character. And that was sufficient to sort of secure an acquittal. Now, after the Mathura rape case happened, which I think if your listeners don't know about, that was a case in which a young Adivasi girl was said to have been raped by police officers at the police station. And eventually, the police officers were acquitted because the Supreme Court held that she is habituated to sexual intercourse. And there was some evidence led that she was a prostitute, etc. And therefore, that she is presumed to have consented. Now, after that, we got a provision into the Evidence Act, which essentially said that, in a rape prosecution, if intercourse is proved, then you must presume that consent is absent, as long as the victim says so. And then much later in 2002, we introduced further amendments to say that, look, in rape prosecution or certain other sexual offenses, like some of which Tejpal has been accused of, like outraging modesty, etc., evidence of general immoral character and past sexual history is irrelevant. So insofar as the law is concerned, it is very clear that whether the victim smokes, drinks, has affairs with a lot of people is absolutely irrelevant to whether or not she was raped, sexually assaulted, sexually harassed in this particular case. And she is not presumed to have consented simply because of that.
But the way the
But
judgment
problem
read...
is,
Sorry,
yes.
go ahead. But the way the judgment read, does the judge base her judgment on these factors, or these have been mentioned as general lecture?
No, I think the judgment goes a long way because it's an act of chipping away at the testimony of the prosecutrix. By their very nature, these offenses are not which you will have witnesses for. There is, for instance, in this case, there is CCTV footage, but there is no CCTV footage of what actually happened inside the lift.
Right.
So all you have is the testimony of the prosecutrix.
Right.
And you have a version given by Tejpal, which we must remember he has not stepped into the witness stand. So what he has said in his explanation to the court, which he has a right to give under the law, is not under oath. May have come through in some media articles, etc., through other defense witnesses, but nobody except Tejpal and the prosecutrix can actually testify on what happened inside the lift.
That Tarun made a request in the court, in the Supreme Court, that we do not trust the police. So asked the trial court to hand over this data to us. So the trial court, it was the police did not have the expertise to get all the messages, extracted. So they tried to find out how they can do it. Again, which we have not mentioned in the story, but we have found another fact that Tarun Tejpal, through the RTI, he found out the labs, the government different labs which do this kind of work. Okay. After that, the trial court sends this, the phone for the extraction of all the WhatsApp messages
To one of these labs.
So they get to one of these labs. The lab. This is not the lab's duty to sift
only
out
give from
only the
5th to 12th. They
so
gave the whole thing.
entire dump. They gave the entire dump to the trial court, and since trial court, the Supreme Court had told the trial court to hand over the thing. The trial court did not go into the fact that he wanted just one specific period.
So they gave him
the
the whole
entire
data.
dump to him.
So one is that, of course, he got access to this material. And I must emphasize that I think our understanding of privacy to date is not that developed. It's only very recently in the context of Aadhaar that the Supreme Court, finally said they require 9 judges to come and say, look, privacy is a fundamental right. And that has happened fairly recently. And I don't think it is really percolated down to implementation in these levels. That's one. And secondly, actually, there was an additional level of scrutiny. So yes, Tejpal got access to this material, but it was the obligation of the trial court at the end of the day when this material was being used during cross-examination to say that, look, we have this law which says that this is irrelevant, so you can't put these questions to her. And I'm disallowing the testimony. So while she has done that for some portions, and there is a discussion in the judgment somewhere in 200 something para, where she has rejected a lot of evidence on the basis that it violates those sections which say that you can't lead evidence on immoral character or sexual history. But at the same time, she has still gone ahead and, any judge has their own inherent biases and stereotypes. You can't divorce that in the justice system. But the problem is you are supposed to divorce that from what the law says. So as long as the law is very clear, you shouldn't ideally let your own notions of what is appropriate behavior or whether the victim is lying because she has had sexual relations with 10 people, influence the outcome of the judgment.
But Manisha will tell us about what the Prime Minister said. She has consumed that because she's commented on that in this week's Nuisance. But before we go on, do remember to subscribe to Pay to Keep News free, because we don't take advertisements. We are purely make do with your subscriptions and your support to News Laundry. So go to newslaundry.com and Pay to Keep News free. Those of you who are listening to Chhota Hafta, Mufat Khors, if you are students or don't have a job, that's fine. Then you should try to make sure you can get our stuff behind the paywall by hacking in. I think that's part of the game. But if you are earning and you are whining about why news is so terrible and compromised and you're doing nothing about it, then stop whining and watch Republic. The rest of you can go to newslaundry.com and click on the subscribe button and Pay to Keep News free.
I agree totally with what Raman said, which is, suppose we assume for 5 minutes that in his speech, the Prime Minister was not lying and that the states did ask for this. When has the government ever done what the states have asked for? They've been asking for GST dues to be clear. The government has not listened. They've been talking about farm laws and CAA. The government has not listened. And fundamentally, the government is lying because, as Manisha said, it was only Bengal that explicitly said it wanted to take over vaccine procurement. Other states did not. They were asking for freedom in administration and more autonomy. So that's one point. Two, did this sort of work for him, sort of putting all the blame on states? So what happened immediately after that was that a lot of people were saying that he made the speech because the Supreme Court had pulled up the center. So what did BJP leaders and journalists who are, how should I say it, sympathetic towards the government, so what did they do immediately after that on Twitter? He made a speech at 8 o'clock. At about 10:15, I think it was journalists like Navika Kumar, Aman Sharma, and so on were tweeting saying that sources say that the government took this decision on June 2nd or June 3rd. And the Supreme Court thing was, June 1st. He took this decision on June 1st. He signed a letter, it seems, saying I'm going to change the policy.
No, they didn't even sign that. He had in principle agreed.
This is the claim. And they said, and the Supreme Court hearing was only on 2nd or 3rd. Unfortunately, all their tweets had the same fundamental error in them, which is that the Supreme Court made its decision and said its stuff to the center on May 31st. It didn't say it on Tuesday. And yet by then, all these tweets had gone out. I mean, screenshots of it are widely available online, though they've now deleted it. So this was just to cement the fact that what Modi is doing is right. They all tweeted the wrong tweets and then they had to take it down. And even though we do have a section of the media that does support the government, in his speech, Modi still blamed the media. I think he blamed them for misinformation or vaccine hesitancy or something. Unfortunately, I don't remember exactly what he said because yet again, this was a speech in Hindi where I could follow nothing at all. I mean, I don't know why they can't just put it up in different languages at the same time. So that is one point. And my other point is also about when we're saying where are these vaccines going to come from? I think it was a couple of days ago that the center sent a letter or something to all the states saying that details like vaccine supply, the temperatures at which vaccines are stored, these are secrets. This is not information that should be put out in the public. This is why the COWIN dashboard used to have these details, but then it was taken off the dashboard a couple of months ago, a couple of weeks ago or something. And now we're being told that the public has no right to know how much vaccine stock its state has. How is this encouraging the public to get vaccinated at all? This is literally making it worse. So yes, it is very good that now the center is going to procure, but this is shocking. And it's shocking that it took this long. So now we're saying that on Yoga Day or whatever that is, I think it's June 21st, this vaccination for everyone free and all that, but we don't even know how we're going to get there.
So, I mean, one thing is the address was at 5 o'clock, not 8. I think.
Sorry, 5 o'clock. So yes.
Used to listening to the prime time address. This time it was it was not prime time. So I think one thing that to me in this address was very different from the rest is that overacting ke 10 rupees kaato. You know, he doesn't overact usually. He does his delivery quite understated. You know, when he goes shrill, और जी ठीक चल रही थी वैक्सीन, एकदम ठीक चल रही थी, और फिर उन्होंने बोला. I was like, dude, this is like the 80s film Om Shivpuri, na? When he says, "Arey beti, aa gayi tum? Arey hame itni khushi hui." You know, this kind of overacting was, sorry, 10 rupees kaato. That was new to me. But
didn't he cry last month? I remember.
Yeah. But there also, I'd say that was maybe Anil Kapoor level. Like this time he had gone into like the 80s Manoj Kumar level. So I thought that was worth seeing the demonstrably false claims. The only thing that I'm concerned about that, politicians lie, they tell half-truths, they spin. But this is a relatively new phenomenon, especially in an age of technology where you can actually corroborate what the person is saying is right or wrong. You can demonstrate. Like in Doordarshan time, Indira Gandhi could come and say, today in one part of the country, there were 500 people were found just floating in the sea. No one can check. Because in the 80s, 500 kilometers away, only Doordarshan cameras could reach, in some coast. Now there'll be 100 mobile phones that will reach there. From that kind of information to information that is on websites that you can download and demonstrate what is. So the level of lies that one can tell has become compromised for politicians. But Trump was one man who could say anything. He did not give a shit whether it was demonstrably false or not. And people would believe it. Or some people would. Modi has reached that level. But the worrying thing is if a country has reached that level, because we don't have the institutions that US does. And just something that, listeners should know, many states were asking to decentralize distribution. That how we distributed, door to door le jaye. Maharashtra said door to door le jaye. Delhi wanted, community centers, medical colleges. They'll set up mohalla clinics. They think, no, it has to be in the hospital. Because the center didn't want so many people distributing it because it'll run out in 2 days. And they wanted to show ki bhai hum bahut kuch kar rahe hain. So they said, let us distribute it. They said, no, you can't distribute it. We will tell you how to distribute it. We will tell you who to vaccinate. We will tell you who to do this. So that is what they wanted decentralized. No one asked for procurement to be decentralized. And I happen to know...
Very, very good point.
I happen to know that some states that were trying to get, not all deals are with like Moderna or Pfizer. Just like when you want to buy tires, you don't go to Apollo Tires. They're tire distributors who are very big distributors, like all of North will have. So there are big companies in Europe, in Spain, in Portugal that have these, and they have these orders because when the US had pre-ordered and then those excess orders, they're not taking delivery, some have been cancelled. Even they were not willing to deal with states. So
both of them follow the same thingy, Hindutva. Okay, that's the way of life. And for that, the Hindutva, when I say the militant Hindutva, when I say the Hindutva, I mean, it's not a way of life as, Atal Bihari Vajpayee used to say or anybody else used to say. For them, the Hindutva means Muslims Hindus on the one side, irrespective of any caste, and other religions are on the other side. I mean, particularly the Muslims. So that is how, I think that's the constituency, that's the rule both of them follow. So I think, Yogi being the chief minister of the state which, sends 80 or 84? 80 members to parliament. So that's something which gives him, that sense of power. So that's what I feel. I think Yogi, if he's making, but I would also go with this fact that Modi is too powerful.
But I don't think any chief minister in the country would have the guts to do what he did to that Facebook page on their website a day after speculation is on this. I mean, it is a clear indication of something.
They're sulking.
But you can sulk in your home, but to do this on a public platform, और किसी की हिम्मत नहीं हो सकती, सिर्फ योगी की हिम्मत हो सकती है. But
you're right that way, that after Bengal they can't afford to lose another big state. So they really, losing is dur ki baat, but still, and Yogi is immensely popular. It's true that he's a very popular.
No, but even if he's not popular, in the worst of times, he retained his seat. Even if not in all, his seat he retained. Even when Akhilesh and not Mulayam was sweeping the state, that Gorakhnath, uska jo math hai, he's all powerful there. He's the dude.
Would it be interesting to know how powerful is his Vahini versus RSS cadre? Because it ultimately boils down to the cadres.
Right. No, that was also one of the reasons that Kamal Nath, he did his own thing. Because Sonia couldn't do jack to Kamal. Because he would win Chhindwara. In fact, even now, his son has won Chhindwara. When every seat, BJP swept Madhya Pradesh except one seat.
But another thing...
And so he had that power that, dude, you can do what you want. You cannot budge me from here. I'm stronger than Rahul, Sonia, everything. All of you listening in, the Chota Hafta, do subscribe so you can listen to the entire Hafta. We will see you again next week with the Hafta. Till then, subscribe, pay to keep news free, because when the public pays, the public is served. When advertisers pay, advertisers are served. Thank you. Goodbye.
All the News Laundry podcasts are available on Stitcher, iTunes, and any other podcast platform.
Please subscribe to News Laundry. Help us keep news independent. To catch all our podcasts on news, pop culture, current affairs, and sport, visit newslaundry.com. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube channel.
सुन लिया अफ्रीका मुफत खोरों. Not to brag or anything, but News Laundry Hafta features in the top 50 in the world on SoundCloud in the news and politics category for podcasts. So do subscribe and see what you're missing, because when the public pays, the public is served. When advertisers pay, advertisers are served. Subscribe, help keep news independent and free.
All News Laundry podcasts are available on iTunes and Stitcher and any other podcast platform.